Today on Would You Believe It? An anatomical theater decorated with skeletons of its unfortunate specimens. A magnificent mausoleum built by a farmer. The body of a nun sitting in her convent 300 years after she died. A bizarre museum filled with the paraphernalia of death. A bungled escape and the ghosts left behind in a ghastly prison. We'll visit the strange, the bizarre, the unexpected on Would You Believe It? Next on Would You Believe It? The burger joint relished by ghosts. Clarendon Hills, Illinois. The Country House Restaurant. A speakeasy during Prohibition with dancing downstairs and a brothel upstairs. Eventually, this joint stopped hopping and became derelict. In the 1970s, it was bought and renovated, becoming this bustling restaurant. But while the extensive renovations were taking place, a ghost came out of the newly stripped woodwork. The spirit of a distraught woman who's been seen and heard by many of the restaurant staff and customers. Renowned ghost hunter Richard Crowe helped uncover the ghost's story.
Back in the late 1950s, a young lady got in a fight with a bartender. We don't know whether or not they were seeing each other, but she left the place very upset, drove away in her vehicle with such apparently an intense, agitated state of mind that she rammed her car into a utility pole nearby and died in that wreck. And many believe that that is the origin of the Country House ghost.
There is little doubt this place is haunted. A ghostly image watches patrons from an empty storeroom window. Plates in the kitchen have hovered in the air before crashing to the floor. Floorboards creak in empty rooms. The jukebox plays as if it were, well, possessed. This phantom pops up at will when the restaurant is crowded, generating some spirited conversation. Perhaps the customers also relish the thought of some ghostly garnish with their burgers. But one night, a maintenance man working in the empty restaurant had trouble maintaining his composure.
One night, a couple of years ago, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was working in the Country House after it closed, and all of a sudden there was loud banging coming from the second floor as if somebody was throwing something very heavy towards the floor, maybe 35 to 50 pounds, but the banging was over and over. Went out to start going up the stairs to check it out, and as I approached the stairs, it stopped. After a while, this continued 1 or 2 more times during the night and began to just ignore it. But then the jukebox, which had been disconnected for the night, started playing. And it kept playing the same song over and over and over. Went out there the first time to see what was going on with it, and it just stopped playing. And about another 10 minutes went by, and the same thing again, the same song kept playing about 3, 4, sometimes 5 times in a row. So next time I was determined to go out there and find out a way of stopping it, and when I walked around the corner, I noticed that there was a girl standing in front of the jukebox. So as I was walking up to her, I figured I'd tell her that she wasn't allowed in the building, that was after hours and it was closed. And as I became closer to her, I noticed that from the head down to the bottom of her dress, which was about knee length, everything was there, but from the bottom of the dress to the floor, there was no legs, no nothing. She was literally just kind of stationary in the air there.
The specter has spooked plenty of others as well, following the manager downstairs, pounding on the floor, or staring at her from somewhere within the restaurant, making her feel as if the very walls had eyes. This bar is always full at night, but when the high-spirited regulars leave, some other spirits linger. There have been reports of a party going on well into the morning, but when the noises are investigated, no one is ever there. Perhaps it's just because the rules of ghostly etiquette were not observed.
Many folklorists and myself believe that there is a proper etiquette that you must follow when you're ghost hunting. For instance, if you do see a ghost, if you come upon the apparition, you don't speak first. You don't walk towards it. You don't try to get in its face. You wait for the ghost to then volunteer the information to give you what you're waiting for, what the ghost wants to put across. It's sort of like following an Emily Post or Emily Ghost rule of etiquette as to how to approach the whole situation.
It seems there's a regular supernatural shindig taking place here. But perhaps the poltergeists are playing pranks on their innocent victims. For instance, no one describes the sounds the same way.
There was a scraping, dragging sound.
At first I heard loud banging on the floor as if something very heavy was being thrown to the floor, about 35 to 50 pounds.
There's a bang, bang, bang as if someone is upstairs hitting the floor with a hammer. Well, there is something here. I can't say what it is, but there's definitely something that can't be explained.
So, in lieu of explanations, patrons and staff have learned to live with their uninvited guests. After all, how many restaurants can boast a ghostess with the mostess? Would you believe it?